Hey Playas, how you doing? Welcome back to Playas Guide. This is your retro gaming news for June 2021. If you enjoyed retro gaming news and other Playas Guide content, please consider subscribing to the channel. One small click from you makes a big difference for me and the rest of the Playas Guide team here on Twitch and on YouTube. So to start things off, for the month of June 2021, we have Astalon. This was a game just recently released and mentioned on last month's retro gaming news. It was released at the very beginning of the month, and this is an action-adventure platformer available on the PS4, and it looks excellent. Next up is Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. This is available right now on the Switch, and as of this video, also, I think pretty much every other console, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I think I did see that it was going to be available for the PS4 as of the time of this video's release. Anyways, this is a remastered version of Ghosts and Goblins. It looks excellent. I've seen quite a few people streaming this game on Twitch, and it's one that I want to check out, and you can be sure you're going to be seeing on the Retro Indie Show. For those of you who are Sega fans and fans of the Wonder Boy series, there is a new installment in Master World. Now, this doesn't have retro graphics. It looks sort of like it might have a bit of cel shading here and very animated graphics, but nonetheless, the image of this game and the art style that they've gone with is very appealing, and it looks like it fits right in with the rest of the Wonder Boy series. Playdate is now available for pre-order, and the interesting thing about this is we were looking at this originally when we saw the first trailer for this new handheld console, and it had a crank on it, and now we know that the crank is going to be something incorporated in different games. The thing that I really like about Playdate is that you're going to be able to download one or two games every week, and they're just going to be random games from random developers you may know or may not know. Keep that in quotations because that is from their trailer that you see here. That you can play for free. It's going to be free to download. So it's kind of like a random grab bag. So this has me particularly interested in this. Now, I know it has very pixelated graphics, but they're going to be HD pixelated graphics. But that sounds kind of fun. You know, it is interesting to me to be able to just pick something up whatever day they decide to drop these new games that are downloaded to you, and then you just play some new game. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. And if you do like it, you might continue playing it for the rest of the week or two, or, you know, throughout the rest of the year. It's a really cool concept, but it's hard to say how well this console will really do this early on. But I guess the pre-orders that are now available will determine that. So if you like what you see and you think it's a good idea, you can go support it and get your pre-order in for the play date right now. Mega Man and the Wily Wars will be getting a physical release. This is pretty cool. This is a historic game that did not get a physical release, and now you can get one through Retrobit Gaming. This is another item I believe is open for pre-orders right now, so you can get your copy. Bitoa is a new game that has sort of like this Game Boy style. However, it changes colors throughout different stages, but keeps a very similar color scheme to one or two color tones, similar to that grayish green color that we got on the Game Boy. The game looks really good. It's a modern game, and you can add it to your wish list on Steam today. Kitsune Tale just released a new trailer, and it will be available on the Switch. I don't have a date for you as of yet, but I'm sure if you do a little bit more research or maybe follow this game on Twitter, you can find out more about it. But it looks like an excellent, colorful platformer that is a true throwback to the Super Nintendo, NES, Genesis days, which, if you're watching this, I'm sure you appreciate. We also got some big E3 announcements, a lot of those coming from Nintendo and a few from Sony. The biggest one, I think, is Metroid Dread, and I'm sure you've already heard about this, but I wanted to include this because I know somebody's going to leave it in the comments below. How could you leave this game out? It looks amazing. It is a 2D slash 3D. There's going to be a little bit of 3D mixed in there, which I think is really cool. This game reminds me of Strider 2014, which I thought was an amazing game. This obviously is going far beyond what that was. It's going to be interesting to see what the price point is, though, because I see this being a $50 game and not a full-fledged $70, $80 game for the Switch. But I'm sure that Nintendo is going to cash in on that Metroid franchise and go for the higher price point. Demon Throttle was also announced at E3 for the Nintendo Switch, and it will be getting a physical release from Special Reserve Games. I'm not sure when that pre-order is open, but you might want to check that site periodically because as of the release of this video, it could be now. Cruisin' Blast is another game that was announced for the Nintendo Switch at E3. Whatever E3 is now. This game looks great, with the exception of maybe the dinosaurs. I'm not too sure how I feel about that, but it definitely looks like it pays homage to some of the original games released in the arcades and on the N64 that us retro gamers all love. So it has a really cool looking arcade look to it. So yeah, we'll find out what Cruisin' Blast is all about. I know I'm going to. The Legend of Zelda Game & Watch. So Zelda has a Game & Watch coming out this year. Nintendo's releasing it. I think this is a really neat idea. So you're going to get Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 and Link's Awakening on here. I gotta say, a little bit disappointed that the fourth game is Vermin. Sort of hoping for a Link to the Past, but I get it. That's jumping to a 16-bit game. Something like Vermin is much more easier to include, and really we should be considering it a bonus, because if you're going to buy this Game & Watch, you would probably buy it with or without Vermin anyways. Am I right? Intellivision's presentation at E3 of the Amico, I gotta say it left something to be desired. Now, I know I'm just here to report your retro gaming news, and they had Tommy Talrico, who everybody knows for many of his scores in various video games and his involvement in the video game community throughout the years, which he did touch upon in the presentation. But there was a huge emphasis on the haptic feedback, as well as the games that were presented to us in this E3 presentation. Although it was somewhat brief for a brand new console, they didn't look all that great. They looked sort of like some of the shovelware and cheaper DLC games that we saw on the Wii. And there's a real emphasis on group gaming, which I think is great. It's kind of hard for us to do that, just getting through the COVID thing now, but maybe people will start to transition into doing that again. It didn't work out very well for Nintendo with the Wii U. I'm not sure what that means for Intellivision, but if it's any reflection of how the Wii U did, it's probably not a great sign. And like I said, with these games, I can't see them keeping a lot of children's interest for very long, and it certainly wouldn't keep many of my adult gamer friends' interest for as long. I really had high hopes for the Amico. Let's hope they can show us something more. I'm excited for the Earthworm Jim game that they announced. I think that's awesome. This has a lot of other really cool features, and the controllers do look interesting and are somewhat as appealing as an old Nokia phone. So I'll keep you guys in tune with what's going on with that, because it's something that I'm interested in as well. And I really want this to be a success, but I wasn't so impressed with what I saw. Let me know what you guys think. Also, Sony announced a game called Glitched, which sort of looks like it is an RPG here from what we can see. It's definitely a throwback game with a retro style. I can't tell you too much more about that because I don't know a whole lot more, but I did want to include it in the retro gaming news. Metal Slug Tactics. Here's one that I didn't think anyone here is expecting to see. A tactical strategy Metal Slug game. It's not a run and gun, but it looks like it uses all the same sprites, a couple familiar characters from the previous installments in the Metal Slug series, and it's going to be interesting. I like some of these turn-based strategy games. They can be a lot of fun to play. We'll see how SNK does with this. That's it for the retro gaming news. Make sure you're subscribed to Playas Guide on YouTube, as well as Twitch for daily retro streams, Twitter, Instagram, and, of course, check out the Playas Guide Discord if you want a community of retro gamers and collectors, and you got something to discuss. Please join us there. You can find links to all of these below. Thanks so much for tuning in to your retro gaming news, and I'll catch you later, players.